Since the beginning of Russia's armed aggression, as soon as the Ukrainian Defense Forces acquired the necessary capabilities and weapons, they began regularly striking targets in Crimea. This was reported by retired Captain First Rank and military expert Andriy Ryzhenko. First and foremost, these are the enemy's command posts, air defense facilities, weapons, missile systems and ships. Since 2014, the captured Crimea has become a generator of military force for the Russian Federation, which they then directed against Ukraine. Therefore, in order to bleed the enemy dry and reduce its combat potential as much as possible, such work was carried out. Of course, it depended on the resources available to us, the weapons we had, and the enemy's countermeasures, he said on Ukrainian Radio. Ryzhenko recalled the very effective use of naval drones. This was somewhere between the second half of 2023 and the end of the first quarter of 2024. At that time, the enemy had virtually no countermeasures to our naval drones, and this led to them partially abandoning their Sevastopol base and transferring their most capable newer and more powerful ships to Novorossiysk, which are still based there. They removed all combat ships and support vessels from the sea, he said. According to him, at the beginning of the war, the Russians had up to 50 ships and vessels at sea every day. We now know that there are days when there isn't a single ship at sea. Nevertheless, Crimea remains a Russian military base. And because of this, our security and defense forces, the main intelligence directorate, the Security Service of Ukraine, and the Unmanned Systems Forces Command constantly use aerial and naval drones to minimize the enemy's combat potential, the expert said. Ryzhenko noted that many air defense systems were destroyed. He clarified, and a serious indicator that the enemy is currently experiencing serious air defense problems is that a few days ago, Putin asked Turkey to buy back the S-400 air defense systems that Turkey acquired from Russia in 2017 for $2.5 billion. This means that our security and defense forces are certainly seeing results. I think this practice against military targets in Crimea will continue.
Ukrainian drones have attacked an oil refinery belonging to the Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat company in the city of Salavat, in Russia's Republic of Bashkortostan. The information was confirmed by the head of the republic, Andriy Kadirov. As a result of the strikes carried out by kamikaze drones, an explosion and fire occurred at the refinery. It is suspected that the ELU-AVT-4 processing unit was damaged. No casualties have been reported yet. Located 1,400 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, Gazprom Neftekhim Salavat is one of Russia's largest petrochemical complexes. The complex's capacity is estimated at 11.7 million tons of oil per year. The ELU-AVT-4 unit has a processing capacity of 4 million tons of oil per year.
Где ты его видишь?
Он уже упал, не сдетонировал, походу, не сработал.
Да, калаш стрелял. Калаша ебашили.
А я думал, послышалось, не послышалось?
Не, вот взрыв был. Упала куда-то. Вниз взрыва не было.
А второй вот просто где труба он красный делает. Он вот так вот падал. И просто упал, походу, не сработал.
Despite the fact that Russians are prohibited from publishing photos and videos of the Ukrainian drone attack on the oil refinery, They continue to do so anyway. The war is spreading to Russian territory and will affect every resident of the country, Forbes reports. According to official statistics, today in the Russian Federation, they are asking $2.66 for 3.7 liters of gasoline. In fact, it turns out that over the past month, the price of gasoline has increased by 3%. Social media reports say that one of the gas stations in the Sokolsky district of Nizhny Novgorod has been out of gas for a couple of days. City residents are traveling to their own towns to fill up their cars there. The Public Visioner writes that the gasoline crisis has spread to 10 regions of the Russian Federation. ISW claims that Russian media are already openly discussing the issue of gasoline shortages. And at the end of July, the Kremlin banned gasoline exports. These methods still didn't work, and the queues for gasoline only grow longer with each new day. On the black market, 3.7 liters of gasoline costs $9. Even despite such a large sum, there are people in the Russian Federation who are ready to pay for it. Ukraine is disabling a Russian oil refinery using AJ-22 Fox bats converted into UAVs. The aircraft covered a distance of 1,450 kilometers to hit the Ufa oil refinery. The most interesting thing is that the oil refinery was guarded only by a couple of infantry platoons and machine guns. There were no air defense systems, and there will not be any. The air defense system is already depleted by 3 years of war. Moving it to the oil refineries will leave gaping holes elsewhere. Railroads, power plants and other facilities, as well as air bases and military installations, need protection. Meanwhile, Ukrainian manufacturer Firepoint says it produces 100 FP-1 long-range attack drones per day, or 3,000 per month. Many more drone attacks are expected in the future. Moscow and St. Petersburg will be protected for now. As one commentator noted, Putin will force the rest of the country to ride donkeys and carts before he imposes fuel rationing in the capital. For the rest of Russia, the problem is real and getting worse fast.
U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump traveled to Windsor Castle alongside King Charles III and Queen Camilla in a procession of horse-drawn carriages, past ranks of soldiers, sailors and aviators, as a military band played the U.S. and British national anthems. According to Associated Press, the King and President chatted in the Irish state coach during the short journey to the castle quadrangle, where Trump, accompanied by Charles, inspected an honor guard of soldiers in red tunics and bearskin hats. Trump was greeted by royalty, military honor guards and mounted troops in red and gold as he arrived at Windsor Castle on Wednesday to begin a 2-day state visit to Britain as the guest of King Charles III. Prince William and his wife Catherine met the president's Marine One helicopter as it landed in the private walled garden on the vast castle estate, walking the president and First Lady Melania Trump over to be greeted by the King and Queen. The day of royal pageantry is the highlight of the president's unprecedented second state visit to Britain. And it's on a scale designed to impress the grandeur-loving president, involving some 120 horses and 1,300 troops, including the largest guard of honor in living memory.